up, fam? This is your boy Daddy Nat. This is my channel Side Hustle. Just wanted to make a quick introduction about this really cool interview that I did with Dub Easy. Dub Easy is a veteran from the sort of dub genre, the reggae genre. Has been doing it for decades, and honestly, man, had a real cool just chat with him, man, about the ups and downs of the music industry. Not only is he as a prevalent artist who I found on Loom, saw that he was posting multiple songs a week. He was, pushing out content all the time. He's engaging on everything. He had a hell of a remix for my competition that I hosted with Loom. He's had videos that went viral that had millions of views or over 1 million views and had to get taken down. Like, has really gone through the ringer. And I think this is an important perspective that he's going to shed light into that a lot of artists don't recognize. I think a lot of artists think, I get signed and the rest of life is just history. You know what I mean? Oh, it's so easy. And the reality is that's just not true. It's hard work the whole way through it. Making money in the long game is, as I find more and more about the music industry, is super, super difficult to do. And developing a brand that lasts is also difficult to do. You can find his music on Loom, Spotify, every other platform out there, on IG, on Twitter. He's growing quick. So go check him out. Again, it's Dub Easy. This is my channel Side Hustle. This is Daddy Nat. Appreciate you guys and hope you guys enjoy. So yeah, man, what's going on? Happy Thanksgiving, or happy belated Thanksgiving.
After, huh? Or a couple days after now. It's all blurred together.
I know, dude.
The family thing, I was hosting my family, so it was pretty good. We got the space now in Vegas, so it was nice to kind of have everybody come together. And then, everything going on Loom with the holidays was cool, seeing everybody up there. I mean, it's just been an amazing platform.
Dude, yeah, no, it's fun, man. Did you so I noticed you are always dropping songs twice a week. Are you did you get your 2 in this week?
No.
I was gonna ask, man.
Yeah, I figured I'd take a break. I released one on Tuesday, but I got caught up with artworks. So
I listened to it. It's your Nights, is what it's called?
Yeah, Nights. It's kind of like a ambient electronic reggae, just
Dude, that's just fire. No, I love it. For real.
Thank you. But yeah, so since I have all this archive material, from about 10 years plus. I mean, man, now.
Oh shit! I didn't realize that because I noticed you have more songs than anybody on Loom.
Really?
What I've seen.
Even more than Loom?
You have 180 tracks on there, bro.
180 tracks? No, that's not me.
Oh, really? I was looking at one of your playlists that was just right. How many tracks do you have on there, bro?
I have over
50?
I think Moo might have been 455, but he started in the beginning.
Oh shit, dude! Well, you're gonna catch up soon.
And it doesn't show me the amount of tracks I have. Besides, I basically think I have a badge for all my songs now. So that's kind of how I know my numbers. Once you hit 25,
exactly.
I can track it.
Yeah, exactly. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, definitely. You?
Okay.
Still good?
Yeah, you're way better as well.
All right, awesome. Yeah, I was probably picking up the loud volume coming back through into the mic. And it's which one am I listening to? The talking or this?
Oh, man, gotta have a little bit of an audio engineer in you.
Yeah. Oh, nowadays, for sure. Now you gotta have IT, too.
Yeah, bro. So yeah, man, would you mind just going back over kind of that, basically from when you started talking about Berkeley and joining there your junior, senior year, it was cutting out a little bit. So maybe start there.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I went into the music production engineering program. It's tough to get in. You have to apply and everything. So by my junior and senior year, I got into that major and, did the studios thing, finished with, over 3.5 GPA, to get that bachelor's degree, which, no matter what you want to do in life, bachelor's just helps you in any industry, whether it's the same or not. And that's kind of also what put my parents at edge is anybody's you're sending your kid or he's going to music school. What is he going to do? And they're he's getting a bachelor's degree. Does your kid work in his bachelor's degree?
Dude, it cracks me up when people talk shit about other bachelor's degrees.
Oh,
exactly.
You're
as good as your work ethic, bro. That's how it works.
Yeah, exactly. And just because they're mad, we have a passion. We went after it too. Versus being I don't know what I want to do, or just going after the money because parents want them I want you to be a doctor or a nurse or something that makes a living. And it's so it's just mentality or perspective. But so then sure. I worked, it was more about the network than anything. And so working with a bunch of musicians, I used to, freelance for all my friends' bands from 8-piece funk groups with, sax, trumpet, trombone, to big dub reggae groups that also had horns. One of my good friends who's a trombone player actually went on to play with John Brown's Body, and right now he's the Odessa trombonist. So
No fucking way. That's
yeah,
rad.
yeah, he's my boy. He just had a kid. He's back out on tour with Odessa. I think they stopped, but he's going back out on the dates coming out. Yeah, yeah. So, man, I know
Big
people.
timing. That's
I know
sick.
people all over the world, and I don't try to play that
So
game
you've been
of
in
like,
the industry for a lot.
yeah, and I don't
time.
try to play that game of like, oh, I know this guy and I know this guy. It's like we're all friends regardless. And I've seen people that have had like my one friend's band was like a rock group, right? They got signed to Motown Universal. They got picked up. They were on all radio, Clear Channel across the country. They were on commercials. A Mountain Dew commercials licensed them, like big time stuff. They got dropped.
You've seen them crash, yeah.
And I saw all these people
just
come after him. Oh, I'm your friend. Oh, I want this. I want this. And it's like I just left them alone. And guess what? They're hitting me up. Hey, man, I got a kid now. What's good with you? It's like we're old roommates and friends. It doesn't have anything to do with all this other nonsense, you know?
Well, bro, but you have perspective, man, because you've been around the block, and like I didn't necessarily know that. I mean, I thought you had been doing this for a while, just given by the way that you made it sound. But like now knowing that, it's like it actually, I think, makes this a whole lot cooler from the perspective of learning somebody who's been in the business, seen people, had come ups, had lows, had highs, been a part of all throughout it. Because a lot of people don't realize, bro, is like, even the biggest artists in the world, particularly the biggest artists in the world, 90% of them, maybe more, literally don't have longevity in any capacity.
Oh yeah.
Particularly in music. Some of them pivot and do other things, but like, and
or once they get
the vast
that,
majority do.
Yeah, once they get that, then they're like, hey, I got the clout. I'm going to start my own business. They diversify. I mean, look at the people at the top like Jay-Z. I mean, how many companies does he have? That's why he's making so much money. And then, now I got the label. I'm making money off all the other people under me too. I'll put out my art when I want, how I want, make the money off of it. So, but it's tough because there's that like ceiling that if you cross it, you get to do what you want. But if you're under it, so many hands controlling you and like
so true, bro. So true.
Taking that money right out of it. I need paid back because I gave you this and I helped you here and blah blah. It's like, well, this is my music, not anymore. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
So did you obviously you write a lot now, you release a lot of music now. Just out of curiosity, actually, what DAW do you use?
Right now, I mean, I mainly use Logic and Live. Ableton. I made your mix in Ableton. But I'm on Logic 8. I'm on Live 8. I need to upgrade a whole
That's all good, bro. Live is actually 8. Live 8 is actually better than Live 10. Like, there's certain features that are like missing from Live 10 that were in some of those earlier versions. So,
and I get caught in like I have the Waves plugin cracks for so many years that like every time I OS update, I'm like, we'll see if it works. So then I just held it. And since my oldest son is now 5, I kind of took a hiatus. He was a tough infant, and it's like, hey, paycheck at Universal, and this. I always make music. I'll come back to it. So I make, priorities. And so I haven't upgraded anything. And my Logic literally shows a black bar blacking out everything, unless I like zoom in or zoom out to see where I'm at. So like editing right now is like people look at like what program is that? It's all going black. I'm like, yeah, it's my OS and my software updates. But hey, that just goes to show.
Hey man,
the equipment doesn't matter. It's all about how you
sit
and what you do with it,
How creative are you? Yeah, exactly, dude. Yeah, man. No, it's I fuck with that though, dude. I actually miss some of those older because when I started, I think I was on Ableton 8. And I learned everything on that. And then when it was to 9, it was like, oh, fuck, like there's some different shit going on here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you want me to date myself right now? Here's what I did. When I started Pro Tools, it was Pro Tools 3. When I started Inbox, Pro Tools 3, I had Reason 2.
No shit, that's awesome,
I had
dog.
Ableton Live 3 or 4 and Logic 4 or 5. Yeah. So, I mean,
you've been at it, bro. You've been at it for a while.
Like all the things that are going on now in these apps, I'm like, man, they made it so much better now. I could have done that. It's like,
bro,
I had to do the 10 steps to get to the
Dude, I got a question for you. Did you get anything for Black Friday? Like, did you see any like Black Friday like plugins or sales or anything?
No, I haven't been putting any money or investment into my music. I want to, but it's easiest for me to escape it. And I put my money in.
Dude.
Yesterday I spent the whole day building a full-size bunk bed for my kids, so it's like you know, my money's going towards them
I
right
feel you,
now.
bro. I
But yeah,
feel
I
you,
mean,
bro.
since I'm a little different mentality on Loom too, you know, like everybody's putting out new songs, so they got the hype, they want to push, they want to market, and I mean, I've gotten up to that number of having a lot of tracks, just because it's older material. I mean, dude, I got into this whole thing
You've
on
been
YouTube.
staying relevant. You've actually grown like a lot. I've seen,
Dude, it's
growing.
crazy. I joined August 1st, and like I've grown
Oh
so
shit.
fast. Yeah, August 1st, and
But you're active as fuck as well. Like I love that,
I'm
dude. Like, and
active
I
and I share other people's music. When I first joined, I would like a song that hit me. I would like instantly either put their lyric or a mentality that it gave me, tag them to say, go follow this guy. So it's like I'm not even just because at the beginning they
yeah,
didn't
dude.
show that your track was shared unless it was reposted.
Right.
But now you can see.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
why I
yeah.
was
Oh,
tagging
you're
them, and
right.
now I'm like, do I need to tag? Because you can see it, but I still do because it's like, go support this guy and give you a quick, easy
Yeah,
link,
bro.
you know. But I think
And we're
that's
getting
what
that
really helped.
incremental growth.
Yeah, and then the algorithm or like adding new friends when you join in that helps everybody. But I feel like the activity and promoting other people as well as like, hey, here's a track of mine, boom, like I'll give the backstory, I'll push it out, but then there's like that one week I did a song every day, you know. But some of
Yeah,
these
dude.
songs have
Yeah.
some have over 30,000 plays on SoundCloud. I had a video that was an hour-long mix a fan put up. Man, it had 1.5 million views. I had to take it down.
Holy shit.
I had to take it down. This was like 2011. I had to take it down because um, a company that was involved with the vocalist I worked with, we had sent a track to go on an official mixtape. And so they were trying to claim ownership online via Zojak Worldwide, the largest like dancehall reggae like tracking
Got you.
for that stuff. And they were trying to say it was theirs, and they were monetizing my fan uploaded our mix of a couple songs, and I was like, yo, 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 this is mine. So they were fighting me though, because it was a decade
Holy
ago,
shit.
and wasn't this content ID, there wasn't all this like
Right.
standard place. So they were like, no, it's on our album, this is ours, and I didn't have the lawyer to go up against them, so I went to the fan. I said, take down the video. So he had to take down a video that had over 1.5 million plays. So some of these artists like Mock, oh,
Dude.
yeah. I've been so this
That's
one artist
wild,
from
dog.
Bermuda was like, right now, the fact that I'm putting out this resurgence or putting it out, he's like, dude, thank you so much just for putting it out. Hopefully we'll get back up to where we were. But this is our mentality. We're family age. We're just different. So it's like, here, I'm not like, go listen. I put it up and let it just do its thing, you
Nah,
know?
bro. And that's really the key to success, in my opinion, is just being consistent. Like if
Yeah.
there's any one thing that you can do to make it in this industry and really anything in life, it's just that consistency, bro. And it sounds like you've been consistent for like decades. You know what I mean? It sounds
And then
like
I
you've been
took a
really getting at it,
hiatus.
bro.
Yeah, and I took a hiatus.
Oh, you did. I got you.
Yeah, for when I had my son, I have two boys, 5 and 2, and when I had my first
Awesome.
one, like I said, he was tough, so I just took the hiatus from music because it's like, hey, this is taking energy, effort, and no money coming back, and it's gonna be
Yeah,
there. It's my
bro.
passion. The same reason I went into recording because it's like I'm always gonna play music, but if I know how to record it, I can at least make a living, and then off of other people
100%.
paying me, and then I can make mine when I want. So, you know, it's an interesting
Yeah, dog.
business,
That's
but
awesome.
there's so many ways to navigate it and make a
Yeah,
niche for
bro.
yourself, you know.
For sure, dude. And I think we're really getting into that like area where it does make sense to go all in, define your niche, and be
Yeah.
able to monetize that niche. I mean, you really, and the internet don't lie, they pick who they like the most.
Oh,
Which,
sure.
dude, I see you on fucking Instagram, dude. Like I feel like you're making waves there as well. Do
Oh,
you
cool.
approach all social platforms sort of as a way to grow yourself? I mean, I see you posting
Yeah.
videos several times there. What's kind of your social strategy, so to
Yeah.
speak?
So basically, I've been on SoundCloud since, I mean, way back in the day. I remember talking to Reverb Nation cats, not as much as Loom has been open
Yeah.
but to like
Yeah.
direct contact. But like, I definitely contacted the developers, and they heard some of my feedback back in the day. So I've always been about the social thing, and I never joined Spotify because back when I had finished all this stuff, it was new as of like what 2008 or something. So like
Right.
I was finishing mixes, just moved to California. I was like, this streaming thing, nobody's gonna do it. Who
All
knows?
that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, of
exactly.
course.
And I was like, and now I got to pay for another aggregator to go straight to them. And back then,
Yeah.
CD Baby
It
or
was a
Timber
lot
Service,
different back then, bro.
it was like
Yeah.
$70 per release. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, and it took 6 to 8
And
weeks.
because it was so like, prestigious to be on fucking Spotify. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
So I ignored it. And
Yeah.
so now that
That's
I'm coming
fair.
back to music, I'm like, yo, I had done some research a couple of years ago, and I'm like, I think DistroKid's the one. And then this year, I was looking more into it because I was going TuneCore, DistroKid. What's the benefits? What's the differences? Now that their prices have all
Right.
come down, but I chose DistroKid, and since it's unlimited,
As well.
and I'm just like, boom, let's just start getting it out. So that's when I was like, I started with 1 track a week because it's all archive. I'm like, I just got all this material, and I still didn't have artwork, none. That's what always held us up. So
That's awesome, bro. So you were just like, I'm like, I don't. You didn't want to get. You were like, the music's too good to just like take a picture, or was it like, what was your like thought?
well, when we made the music in 08 to 2012, you had to have Photoshop. You had to have a laptop.
That's right.
You had to have a laptop with Photoshop. These apps weren't around. You couldn't do any of this
That's
stuff.
right.
So now
That's
that
right. That's right. That's right.
so after a 5 year hiatus, it is so different. So I came back and I'm like tackling this shit. You know what I mean?
Dude, I can
Like,
tell.
I just straight up on my phone, I'm making all my album covers, submitting, album cover, submitting. You know what I mean? And I was up to a point where I was about 8 weeks out ahead with 2 tracks per week. Now, with getting busy with some of the more remixes, trying to create again, with the Loom reviews, oh man, that took up so much time and effort. It was fun, but
Dude, I
man,
know, dude.
my
That was
brain,
like, yeah, that was wild.
my brain hurt, dude. After the second day, I was like, I need to take.
It's cool though.
But yeah, so some of those things are taking more priority. I was like, holidays, all right, I'll just, I fell off for this week, but I'm about to submit for next week or whatever and continue it going. So, but I have over 150 songs. And so it's like, to me,
Oh.
I'm just going through listening to all these songs and I'm just like, which one can I do it easy artwork and without having to contact the artist, or hey, this artist is cool and just pushes it through. This one's like, oh, I don't like this. Can you do this? I'm like, I'm not a graphic designer. Put you on hold. Let's go to the next guy. Like, I'm trying to go, catch back
Well,
up.
dude, like for
and
sure,
build-
dude, and like that's awesome as well, because I always think about this, man. Having a catalog is like really what it's all about. Because if you have a catalog, dude, not only is that interesting to everybody else, it's also interesting to you. Like being able to listen to where you started, bro, to like where you, and just the moments of greatness that you have intertwined within that, like that shit is fire, dude. That's like, in my opinion, that's like, it's like a history book, dude. You know what I mean? And
Right.
that's kind of one of the many things that keeps motivating me to make music.
Yeah, for sure. And so then to go back into the social thing, it's like, so then I use social media because right now, today's market, you got to pay for targeted ads.
Right.
But since my music is old, it's had 30,000 million play YouTube video. I'm not putting money in yet. I'm trying to build an organic hype of like, hey, I'm back. Song, song. He's around. There's consistency. There's more music coming. I can pay attention. I'll follow. And then once I get done with like that 100 to 150, I can have great market research, whether it's from Loom or Instagram, like, yo, this song got a lot of feedback just naturally. I'm going to target add that. You know what I mean? So I'm also building on my research while I do my hype, all for free, and trying to build that network saying, hey, I'm back. Because I had a 50K Twitter. It was stolen at the end of 2018, right before I was coming back to do this resurgence.
What the
fuck? Yeah, somebody literally
got
stole
stolen
my
and then like got locked out or what?
Somebody hacked it and changed my password, and then changed the username. So I was able to create a brand new one with my username. They just stole my following. 50K.
What the shit, dude? Well,
I'm back up to about 5K now, but
that's
Twitter's
sick, dude. No, I mean, Twitter. So it's funny. I fuck heavy with all the newer social platforms. So like Instagram, TikTok for sure. Do you fuck on TikTok? I'm gonna have to come find you.
Larger than Twitter.
Dude, I know. Right? So yeah, dude, it's crazy, bro. So I'm really trying to do all of them though. So Snapchat I'll do a little bit on. Facebook I'll do a little bit on.
Yeah. Facebook I got my international. So for me with reggae, I got like the Caribbean and a lot of African.
Dude, I bet, dude. That's so sick, man. I love
they're not catching up to being behind us. You know what I mean? In terms
of
so
they're not on.
Yeah.
Dude, dude. So,
Instagram too,
anyway,
which is Facebook on. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no. I was just gonna say, it's cool because I'm just now starting to fuck with Twitter, and like Twitter, it seems to be a combination of like in the moment emotional thoughts. You know what I mean? Basically, like whether they're angry, whether they're happy, whether they're like thankful, grateful, like it's
Right.
just, and that's the shit that kind of rises through it. So I've been trying to, I have those thoughts. So eventually I'm like,
Yeah.
the platform to get them out to, you know?
Twitter for me was always the most shameless self-promotion.
Dude, same.
Like
Yeah, same.
I can push anything there and not worry about my following, not worry about anybody, because like Facebook's got family. You know what I mean? Instagram,
Dude, so Twitter is a nasty place sometimes too, bro.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
compared to the other platforms,
it's
bro.
raw, dude. It could be raw for sure. But I was all about shameless self-promotion, and now I'm back to that, you know. And so these social aspects like Instagram, when it came out, it was photos, and so I downloaded it. I think I had like 900 followers when I opened it for the first time again in March, because of Facebook and all people like, hey, your friend joined it. Yeah, and I had maybe a couple pictures posted. That's about it, you know.
That's
and
true.
I'm like, because I'm not a photographer, so what am I gonna do? Post my music? Like, it was weird. It wasn't where it is now, where you have ads, you have businesses, you got all this stuff. So I feel like it's almost like my whole life, because I was born in '82. I'm not a boomer. I'm not a millennial. It's like, you know, I'm just behind technology growing, but I'm there to learn how to use it. And so everything I'm in between, which is tough, but I'm not mad about it. I feel like I've been able to learn the old school value and actual knowledge behind it versus, hey, here's just a button, it'll make it work, you know? So when troubleshooting
plus you're alive. No, I was just gonna say, plus you're alive when people went outside. You were like alive before all this, like,
I'm still okay if I
mean?
don't have my phone for multiple hours. Like, I don't even think about it, you know? Now, sometimes I'm like, where's my phone? Where's my phone? But like, there's times when it's like, you know what? Screw this. I'm putting it down.
Fuck that thing, dude. Yeah. Same.
But you know, so trying to use the social, so that's why I got you know, did a little R&D into Instagram and how people like to use it, consistency, whether you do every day, once a week, extreme like Gary V, 1,000 pieces of content a day, you know, it's like whatever may work, you know, whatever may work. So I just tried doing the twice a week thing. It's unfortunate because it actually screws up my algorithm on Spotify for the release radar. Yeah, for the release radar.
Oh.
So I started doing it on Sundays and Wednesdays, and I would do on Sunday, I would be releasing my featured track with a vocalist, the big reggae song, and on Wednesdays, kind of my instrumental or experimental or whatever I want to put out. But the Wednesday one would hit the release day Friday. So then I switched my release days, and but only one song per week could ever hit that.
Oh, if really? I see. Yeah. But so, have you ever thought about like strategizing to just plan them all out, like well in advance? You know what I mean? So like, because just in terms of being like, yo, I know, because I bet a lot of it comes down to like, this is what I'm really fucking with this week, and this is what I want to release or whatever. But just saying, you know, if you
and what is really as I'm like going through listening to old mixes, I'm like, oh, have I released? Because I mean, featured vocalist wise, I'm in 10 to 20 range that I work with a lot.
Really?
So I'm also trying to give variety to showcase them, not like, hey, this same vocalist 3 weeks in a row. And I get that the two a week is fast. Nobody's doing that. Nobody does that ever. Like, who put, you know,
one a week would be like the craziest shit that anybody ever did. You know what I mean?
Like two,
and you could literally do 2 a week for like 75 weeks. That shit is wild, dog.
Yeah, and that's what I'm planning. And you know, I'm not necessarily as concerned as hitting that release radar the wrong way, like I said, because of my mentality and where I'm coming at it from it, which is a little different. But I have noticed these things, and it's a learning thing for me, learning curve. So I may make some adjustments. And as I've been like, oh, because the other thing too, even one a week is tough, because it's almost like the second that one drops, you got to submit for a playlist review, 100%. Or else you're under the 7 days.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it needs a week. So I was learning a lot about that timing as I was just start doing it, versus I was so long caught up in this is what I'm going to do when I'm ready. This is what I'm going to do when I'm ready. And then this year, once I moved to Vegas, I finally got the time and energy, and I'm like, boom, done. Let's do it.
Fuck, dude. So where'd you grow up, man?
I grew up in Indianapolis, Indiana. And then went to Boston in 2000. I stayed there till 2008. And then I went to LA in 2008 till 2019. And
Oh
now
shit!
now I'm
Right
in
on.
Vegas. Yeah. So a decade at East Coast
Damn.
and West Coast. Yeah. I'm
So
37.
you were really badass, bro. No, right on. I'm 27, just for reference. So it's like,
Yeah.
my brother's your age. He's 10 years older than me. So it's like, I see a lot. I'm familiar with like the
Yeah.
different
For sure. For sure.
perspective a little bit.
Yeah.
But I also grew up prior to the internet just a little bit. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Definitely.
it's different, man. But yeah, dude. So how did, like, I guess, how did you? I really kind of want to dive into how you moved to LA and kind of how all that went into. But before I do, how did you hear about Loom in the first place? Like, what kind of drew you to the app? Yeah, how'd you find out about it?
Twitter. So I saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw it on Twitter. I ignored it the first time because I was like, you see it. I'm like, oh, it's an ad or what's this? So I went by it. The second time I saw it, I think I opened it and like read about it, but I was like, I don't have space for a new app. And then the third time I saw it, it was all within a couple weeks. I was like, and it
Okay.
was, I think it was in, well, I joined August and they dropped July. So it must have been in July. I saw it 3 times. And on the third time, I was like, let me open this. So then when I opened it, I saw they didn't have a world or reggae genre. So I immediately, I don't know how I got a hold of one
hit
of them.
up Andre or something. Yeah.
Somehow I got a hold of them, and I don't know how that was. Oh, maybe on Twitter. I just responded to Loom's
Oh,
thing, and they replied back, "Hey, no problem. Just try this. Do R&B and soul and EDM to just encompass the whole thing that they have. Because I mean, rhythm and blues, reggae is rhythm and blues. I mean, influence. So I get it. And then it could be dance,
sure.
dance hall. So I was like, all right, I get it. So and me being open. I mean, a lot of musicians are like, you don't have my genre.
Yeah, exactly. Like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah.
I have a friend of mine who I do a podcast with, and he does techno, and he's just like, "What the fuck's the techno genre?" Oh,
Yeah. But then look at what happened. I chose that positive spin on it and adapted, and I got 2,000 fans in like 3 months. Like what?
yeah,
Like
baby.
so. And then there's certain songs where I'm playing with the genre. I have one that's supposed to sound more like lo-fi original reggae recordings, where it was like the analog. You got the hiss. It just wasn't the greatest
Yep.
recording. And so I put indie and folk, because technically that's reggae folk music and it's independently done.
You're right.
So there's ways to play with it, and but
sure. So you
they
just
also
tried
told me
different
they were,
things. You were just like,
yeah, and then they told me we're working on doing that. So I was like, hey, cool. And then the more and more they keep saying this, the more and more I learn, the more faith I have in what they really got going on. And then at a certain point when I was able to, I think I did a brainstorm and I kind of sent it to artist relations, Andre, and he's like, oh, these are some cool ideas. I'd love to pick your brain and have a little phone call. And after that phone call, I was all in. So and that's when it really, like the end of August, I was like, here comes my music here, and then it just started to exponentially go crazy.
Yeah, man, it's so funny. I stumbled upon it as well, just kind of like word of mouth. The producer I work with, shout out Lonely Child, who helped me produce all the records that are on there right now. Yeah, man, he was like, yo, you should check out this app, and we're dropping one night at the time. And dude, just the organic embrace on it is just great, man. And there's so many different ways to build there. Like I see you in social, and it like motivates me to be like, dude, I need to be posting more and taking advantage of this like real estate more than others, So it's I think but it's also a unanimously positive place, which is the most unique thing I've ever seen on the internet, period.
What I just did would never have happened.
It won't be like that forever.
No.
Yeah, I agree.
Like the positivity of critique, like I was just waiting. Like if I did that review post on Instagram, dude, there would have been so many haters, F you don't know anything, you know what I mean? It would just totally change the whole dynamic of trying to actually be helpful. And I get it. I mean, I'm sure there's things I can say that's like somebody get mad at me, and it's like, I'm not trying to really put that out, but
you're being vulnerable, bro, which is like, and the fact the community allows you to be that is like,
and it was so positive. And I mean, even some of the hardest critiques I got, like, thank you, I needed to hear this, versus fuck you, bro. You know what I mean? Like, who are you? I'm like,
if you gotta fuck you, bro, it'd be kind of funny though. Because it's like so foreign to hear on that app.
Everybody be like, yo, what's wrong with that guy?
yeah, exactly. It's like fuck this guy.
On Instagram too, you see people that are definitely not musically qualified doing live videos, having people pay to play their songs just to be listened on the live video. And it's like, that is such a scam. And I was like, who are you that I even care about your opinion? So that's why I wanted to, on this, give like a background, say, here's where I'm coming from. I studied, you know what I mean? Versus just being like, yeah, I got all these followers, start paying me, we'll play your music, you know?
Yeah, it's smart, man. I mean, like, you know, and I really, I think, I don't know if you've seen any kind of the new things that Loom's rolling out right now, but like that shit is gonna make it to where you can connect on a different level with fans than you ever have before, and I think that's like that shouldn't be taken lightly. You know what I mean? Like it's there. There's some good shit. 2020 is gonna be a good year for us.
Oh, for sure.
You
Oh,
know
yeah.
what I
Like I
mean?
said, every new thing I keep hearing, I'm just even more all in. I'm even, you know,
Yeah.
more like that's why this, you know, he kind of reached out to me, noticing I've already been giving those types of feedback just as comments. Like when I really like something, um, you know, I'm like, yo, this synth or this sound and this thing, which is more than the average fire emoji, or
Right.
yo, you know what I mean?
100%.
And so they kind of
No,
noticed
yeah.
that, and that's why they're like, look, we wanted to do something a little bit different and figure we reach out. We know you're doing this. Would you be open to it? No idea that within a couple hours it'd be like 200 plus songs. Like they were expecting
Right.
maybe 30, and I was like, they're like, you know, do a couple at a time, catch up till you do all of them. I was like, yeah, no worries. I'm like, oh my god, but I wasn't gonna, you know, I'm gonna make sure and do it. It took 4 days.
Powerful, bro.
Yeah,
Powerful.
exactly. But for, you know, just everybody
Al,
working together.
welcome. Oh, the hat, bro. Yes, son.
This is my boy's
Yes.
company. Yeah.
Yes. Give me his fucking company card, bro. I'm gonna buy him out. Dude, that
All
shit
right.
is fat. I love that.
Yeah, I've been rocking this shit for sure. Outwork. That's funny. It just popped up.
That's so sick, dude. I love that, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of stuff like that. But yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and when I saw that he was doing it, he was actually out here stage managing for Lady Gaga, and so he linked me up when he was in town, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I've been doing this company," and I was like, "Dude, I saw your hats. I want one because that's what I've been doing right now. 2 tracks a week. I'm out working, and I'm back. You know, shameless promotion. I'm back. So
Dude.
it was like that's a perfect mentality for me to rock. I picked up a couple of them. He's got shirts and stuff. They keep changing it, but they're growing. He's like helping his son build
Love
his company up. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Nah, fucking A. Cool story. Cool story as well.
But yeah, so what else were you were asking about LA?
Yeah, man. Well, so yeah, let's dive into that, dude. So, you know, tell me about what brought you to LA. So I was in LA last week. I had like my first real opportunity to go cut some sync records, basically licensing records.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, very different, right? Very different than some of the stuff that I've made previously. I think One Night is syncable, licensable,
Yeah,
but like,
sure.
you know, but I hadn't, that wasn't the intention when I wrote that song. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's interesting to go and do that. But as somebody who's been in the business for a long time, I mean, tell me a little bit more, expand a little bit more on like, you know, you were in Boston. Were you cutting records there the whole time? Was that kind of what you were doing, or did you start really diving into it, you know, when you moved from Boston to LA? Like, yeah,
Right.
a little bit on that.
Yeah, you know, I basically started in Boston. We had we were in Roxbury Crossing, and we had this house that had a basement, so we turned it into our rehearsal studio. And so we would have bands practice our bands or whatever. And then a couple of the tenants, me and another guy, were producers. He did a lot of house and trance, and I did other stuff. So we separated 2 sections to 2 control rooms, and we had a live room. So we were called the Upright Basement because we started on jazz.
Yeah, that's sick.
So my label was Upright Basement Music, or my email UB Music. So it's kind of like a bunch of plays on words, like UB Music or Upright Basement, because we started with jazz, fusion, and funk. So and then it just stuck. And so I was recording all these songs you hear are from that basement, most of them. Anything after 2008 was basically DAW, and you know, which I post what year I put songs out. It gets lost, you know, in the players, but the original post. But yeah, so I was doing music out there. I was doing a lot of live sound for Live Nation venues. We were doing a Weekend Warriors, what we called it. I would be like a sound guy for a couple different bands, and we'd do Wednesday through Sunday. Northeast, hit up every city. I mean, we'd be in 4 states a weekend, and we did 100 plus shows.
Sick, dude.
100 plus shows for several years in a row. We would hit, you know, All Good Festival, Gathering of the Vibes, play all the summer festivals as well, because they were like a jam band.
That's sick. Yeah.
And, you know, depending on the certain artists I'd work with, so a lot of live sound. And I was triple booked like 3 weeks out, but I knew I was going to get stuck in Boston. And after college, I knew a lot of people that already lived in Brooklyn or down in New York. And my college girlfriend at the time, she was from New York. So I was always down in New York City doing gigs,
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
all this weekend warrior stuff. And I was like, the only progression from Boston, I feel like San Fran and Boston are similar, just behind LA and
Yeah.
New York. You know what I mean? Like in
No,
terms
for real.
of
That's
the
interesting.
professional, like the
That's right.
highest level of company, there's a lot of stuff going on there, but you got to go to one of those bigger cities. So
Right.
it was either New York City or LA, and I'd never visited LA ever. So I decided to take a trip, went and visited, and it was just boom, yep, this is it. You
Place
know?
sells you like a motherfucker, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it's like it reminded me of the more space like the Midwest, what I grew up with. Fast paced of the East Coast, but a little more chill. People are nicer. They're not just straight massholes,
Right. Right.
And so I was like,
Masshole.
yeah. I turned into one when I went out there as a masshole, dude. But and so then I was even rough on people in LA. They're like, damn, this dude's aggressive. I had to tone it down. East Coast is way more than West Coast.
Yeah, no,
But
it is. It is. It is.
but I just like the vibe of the ocean, the mountains, the city, the energy. And I was like, there's more space here, like Manhattan. I was just like, I was over it. I'd worked out in and out of it. It was such a pain with the trailer and PA system and car. It's like I'm trying to do bigger things with
Getting
these.
around is nasty. Yeah, fuck
Yeah.
that.
And the people I all know that live there or still do, it's like they don't even have driver's license. They just live in the city and work in the city. It's like that's not what I'm trying to do. I like to get out of the city and
Right.
go enjoy the leaf drives or whatever they do.
Yeah, bro. 100%. 100%. Dude, for sure. For sure.
So that's why I chose LA. So I went there, visited, and it was about maybe a year or so later I chose to just go with it and went out there. Ended up going out there by myself, starting no job, drove 3,500 miles with everything in a trailer all across the country.
Damn, dog. And this is before you met your wife or had any kids or
Yeah,
anything like
so
that? You were
I
single at the
was
time?
my second college girlfriend was gonna end up moving out with me, but she ended up making some changes in plans and going to do the Olympics in China at the time. And so then I
What
was
the
like, well,
fuck?
I'm not waiting,
Right.
so I'm out. Yeah, I was like, you didn't even, okay, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
So I went out to LA, doing my thing, didn't have a job. I had connections I could have gone to, but I wanted to see what I could do first. And started doing the stagehand thing and got through some of my other connections, worked up in that and, make good money, be able to work when I want, say no to work when I want, and be able to utilize the
Well,
freelance.
shit is, yeah.
And I did some radio show editing for one of my other buddies. This little pre-produced like Coca-Cola or Sprite sponsored countdown shows. So we were doing all
Oh,
like
dope.
pre-production and recording and post-production for final send out and more just kind of creating consistency and creating like standardization.
Yeah.
And so in a couple of those I got my song featured in like the one that went to the Caribbean or African because I had a dance hall African countries. They're like, oh hey, for the featured song
Fuck yeah, dude.
1 week I got to put it in, but then two it was like the ASCAP didn't go to those countries. It was so crazy, but I was like, it's just happening. And
Yeah.
I'd always been doing studio stuff, always making music. Once I went to LA, I had less vocalists. The Caribbean culture in Boston is way, even though there's more people in LA, it's just way more concentrated in the East Coast because
Yeah,
of
right.
and
For
lineage,
sure.
like helping and bringing people up, which kind of blew my mind. Like LA is way more Belizean, way less Jamaican, you know.
That's true. It's very, very
Which
true.
is still Caribbean, but it's just a different flavor, different background. And
Absolutely.
so I got more into making electronic, experimental, or something that could hold its own without lyrics. Whether it was,
Okay.
you know what I mean? Like trying to get it, which is a little
Yeah.
bit more of that. And my electronic music style I like is more San Francisco, progressive, fusion
Yep.
based, down tempo,
Yep.
chill.
Yep. Yep.
And that type of thing. So I that's why you hear a lot of like growly or distorted or like breathing in my like basses and stuff. And two, it was
Yeah.
like it was an era, and so it's almost like I'm bringing back some old school sound from a decade ago that like nobody's using anymore.
Which is fucking sick, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think there's always a place for that. Yeah.
Because music is timeless, and it's like who knows, like just like this one. What's her name? The huge song right now that was recorded 2 years ago on Spotify. I'm a bad bitch. Sounds like I know there's a really.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know her
fucking
name.
Lizzo or whatever.
Lizzo, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
song is 3 years old, and this year, boom. So it's
They
timeless.
did use Ricky, whatever his name was, though. The like super famous producer, Ricky Reed.
Well, that will help too. Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I know what you mean. Isn't it interesting how music that's timeless is timeless.
Right.
It just is. Like, and that shit is harder to come by, but it just, it comes, it eventually hits always, you know what I mean?
And there were some things that we were doing back in 04, 05. We're like, we're ahead of our time. Like I was making like that song Crazy Game is more of like a East Coast dirty grime trap. Not quite trap, but it has Jamaican hip hop.
Yeah, trap essence. Yeah.
Essence. I wouldn't call it. Yeah. But you know what I mean? But that was 04. People weren't ready for that. What was on the radio at 04? Like some danceable stuff. You know what I mean? Like
Timbo was on the fucking radio.
Yeah, so that song is actually more like in tune to 5 years to today than it was 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But
super dope.
Which is cool because we were always like, man, we're so hyped on this. When we played to people, they're like, I never, wow. And then you played to anybody who wants to
think,
to market it, they're like, that's not marketable at all. I was like, but like you were even saying about making one night, your intention wasn't to license it. You think it's licensable once you're done, but it's like your intention was to make your art, and whether it's marketable or not, you're making the choices based on what you want to come out. And, but then learning to do some sync stuff for what they're looking for, you could always in the future cater a specific work for that. Be like, hey, let me just pay my bills and then let me make my project, so it's like trying to kind of section off into some, partition.
And learn the game, just kind of understand like really which is wild, but it's super important, man. Like last week was definitely, the songs that I made, they're not the songs that I would just go in the studio and make, you know what I mean? But they're very deliberate in how I worked with this producer. So, that shit is very cool, man. And the fact you obviously know all about it.
Yeah, strategic and calculation in terms of what your intention or what your outcome you really want. You know what I mean? It's just like, like say some of these remixes, yours I left open to just be like, let me see where this kind of takes me. I did an edit and got that kind of like fade in, fade out vocal, and that's what took off because I was just like, whoa, that was really cool.
Sounded so good, dude. What you did with my vocals was probably the most unique on any of the tracks. Like the way that you sliced it up and like took parts from the verses that would lead into the hook and how they would do that.
Oh, moving it around.
Tell me about the approach to One Night, dude. I'd love to kind of just hear about that. Especially for somebody who hasn't been producing as much, man.
That was actually the first.
You haven't been as long.
That was the first new song I've made. It wasn't just like a beat or an idea in a couple years. Like a full
dude.
First song, which is why I was even saying like I'm doing this not to win, not to be part. I'm doing this to have vocal material to play with, to work with, to have fun, and get back into my creative juices and flow. And I like to play a lot with just experimenting. I play everything live, so I started off with just your acapella. You know what I mean? And I heard you had all the other stems there. I think I don't know if I threw in the beat just to kind of get a reference for like where things were or whatever. But actually, I might not. The toughest problem I had with it was creating a cohesive idea. Because I know my editing style, when I really get into chopping, I can lose cohesiveness so fast. You're like, where's the verse? Where's the chorus? This part's just
But it sounds cool.
Yeah, but it sounds cool. This part's just here. And, it's more experimental in that sense. Then it's like, hey, here's a verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, this, that. And, but yeah, once I hit that one sound, it kind of just started to downfall. You want to say hi? This is my son.
Yo,
Jacob.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Daddy Nat, say hi.
Shut up. What's up, man? How you doing?
Says how you doing. All right. But, so once I hit that, I just kind of down or spiraled through just creative ideas. I'll just pull up a sound and I'll play the musical idea without really dialing in the sound I want sometimes, depending on how fast it's hitting me. Sometimes the sound will get me what I want because I'm hearing the energy around it. And sometimes I know the part and I just want to lay that part down, So a little bit of both. Once I figured out the chords and I was like, cool, this. And then I was like, I want to do a little bit of more of my vibe, like a little bit of the rounder dance hall, but then kind of make it poppy. And then it just kind of just took its own thing. And I'm like, now it's out of my hands. Like, how do I reel this back in? And then I was doing some major.
Well, bro, you also submitted it very early, which I thought was like, really. Like a lot of people waited. The guys who won waited till the very fucking.
Very end.
Actually, no. Wayblock who won just like waited till like the day before or something like that.
Yeah.
Which I would have probably, but like the fact that you were like, let me get this out, let me
Well,
like,
and I thought it was the
and I
due date.
saw your
So
review of your own song, dude. I
Yeah.
know. You hit me up after that, and you're like, fuck, it's already got like 200 plays. I was like, what do I do? I was
Just
like,
like I told you too. I was
I
like,
mean,
it was all about the experience, and you were like, if you tighten it up, send it over. I was like, if I get the time and do it, I will. But
yeah.
again, it
Bro,
wasn't. Yeah,
I really think it sounds great though. Like in terms of mix wise, I thought it was
it's not horrible. Yeah,
certainly one of the best, dude. And the it was also the most unique. I mean, by far. Like it was, in my opinion, and maybe that's because I don't have as much of like, a palette for like dub and reggae and shit like that. But, I still have a
so
little
for
bit
you
of,
hearing
but
some of
like,
those flares is something that was like almost even totally different
oh,
for your ear.
bro, all my boys, like I do a podcast and we were right before the podcast went on. I was like, yo, we need to listen to these songs to like figure out which one we like. And they were like, man, like this shit's fire. Like they were like, dude, because it's just different, I mean, it just hits
And you're
different.
like, you don't even know. You're like, what? Wow. Oh, okay, that's cool.
Dude,
Well,
and
no,
just
that's
the way you
awesome.
chopped the vocal was great, dude. Yeah. So
Well, I
anyway.
even went in and took like a 2-bar section in live and copied all the tracks to create some of that like repeating section. So that's why, and then so like that'll be my little bridge transition where it's like I repeat this, like I take the one little hook you do, and then it's like duplicate all my tracks, and it's almost like I'm taking custom loops, and yeah, I don't know, I was just having fun,
dude. But that shit, dude, like that's really what it's all about. The more music I make, the more I realize that, dude, who cares if it's a hit? Just do what's intuitive. Just make it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just make it. And like, if you do that enough times, like, you'll figure it out. You know
and
what
you're
I mean?
honing in on something. You know what I mean? Like the more you just do it, the faster it gets, and the more you're able to be like, that worked, this didn't. Next time,
Yep.
And then next thing you know, you're like, I just do what I do, and boom, hit.
It's true, dude. It's wild, man. It is, dude. And so yeah, dude. So and you did all that in Ableton as well, the remix or
Yes,
whatever.
that was all in Ableton. Yeah,
It's
which
cool,
is
man.
fun
Great
because
for looping as well.
that's more of my like the most recent DAW. I mean, I've used it for a while since the version number, but just a totally different mentality compared to the normal tracking. And I mean, when I did bands, it was all Pro Tools, and I had 20 channels to record bands into Pro Tools. But then, the plugins work better with all these other third parties, so I started using them.
100%.
And
100%.
but yeah, so live is probably my least skillful DAW.
Yeah,
and,
it's I feel like
depending on how you use it, there's so many ways to use it too. It's like I never even
comping
used
vocals
that.
blows.
Chopping vocals, yeah.
Yeah, comping vocals, because like in Pro Tools and Logic, you can just cut again and again and again. Let me splice it up, and it's like Ableton. It's just like, let's take 20 fucking stacks of vocals,
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, so I mean, I've even done it where I think I've tracked, and then I'll take all my tracks and load to live to do my mix and editing. I actually had another song since your remix that I had worked with on Loom and reached out for somebody's kind of private competition at Vection. But my creativity was a little too far out there.
Oh, really? What do you mean?
Which he's totally cool with, but he was just asking, like song structure was a little too free flowing or experimental for what he was looking for his album one, because it was private, you know what I mean? And I was like, I can try and see what I can do, but like I kind of got too far where I'm like, I don't even know. I did like a hippie sabotage at the end, half speed.
Oh shit!
You know what I mean? So it's like very artistically done, and
yeah.
So I'm gonna hit him up though, because I want to maybe put it out just on my page. But like I said, I just appreciate him giving me some lyrics to work with. Sorry if he's like, I don't want to stifle creativity. I get it, but like, and I get his project. He wants to certain, and his music. I've been digging his style. It's a totally different style too. So
yeah, dude. You can't expect every single one of them to be perfect for everybody. I mean, that's like something I feel like a lot of artists get really discouraged in, bro, because they go make a few songs that people really fuck with, and then like they go release other stuff, and they're like, people don't like this as much, or they don't, for whatever reason, they don't understand this as much. It's like, dude, people. That's just people. You know what I mean? And like you just have to keep going.
The beat game. The beat game is super tough like that, which is why you see people now doing like this type beat. What type beat? Right. It's like, first of all, you're just doing sound alike. So I don't want to type anything. I want an original.
Yeah.
But then the other thing is like, yo, here's a beat. But like, well, but like, they want to have some opinion, but it's like, I just gave it to you for free. You know what I mean? Like, you're lucky you got a free beat. Like, or I'll do what I can, depending on how the level of what you want to work with the person is. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain people, it's like, I'm straight catering to exactly what you want because we want to make a track together. Or it's like, yo, I got beats. If you like one, cool. If you don't, go to the next guy.
100%, man. And like, I feel like just the creative process is what it's all about. You know what I mean? Like, when you can get in that headspace where you're having fun and it's intuitive, there's nothing better. You know what I mean?
Oh,
and
yeah.
You can't have it every day, unfortunately. Yeah. You know, you just can't.
Yeah, and you get better at practicing and learning how to manifest that kind of, it comes through you a little bit or tapping into that energy, but it doesn't mean it's going to always work. Or, you know, the whole, what all these memes about, man, you're jamming out at 3 a.m. and the next morning you're like, what the hell was I doing last night? You know, like, so, but I have less of that happen as I've gotten, you know what I mean? Dude, because the decisions I make, no matter what time of day, are decisions I've had experience in or reasoning behind what I'm doing, you know?
Bro, it's just like shooting basketball. It's really no, you know what I mean? It's like, how can you remember the muscle memory of how you do it in this certain spot at this certain time? Like, oh yeah, I already know why I need to bypass this instead of that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But it's still always, you know, it's a roller coaster sometimes. You know, sometimes you're like fucking great music, okay music, great music.
Well, that's the thing too, is like you're excited, you're happy, then you're down, you're depressed, you're discouraged. It's like, you know, and it happens to all of us. That's the one thing probably most people forget is none of us are alone here. Like the emotions I go through, you go through, the other artists go through. It's like there's that high and there's that super low, and it's about getting through that low and keep persevering and creating and making content, you know. And that's why it's like, you know, there's so many different reasons and compromises and things that go into what the part you play all the way down to the mix, you know. And it's like
100%.
It can be analyzed objectively to an extent, but then, you know, without just being like super rude or difficult on somebody, it's like you just got to keep practicing or keep going. Like, don't let this song be the end all. Just move on to the next one, you know. And
1,000,000%, yeah.
I feel like we got way off
the tangent here. No, we did, man. Well, yeah, dude. I know we're coming up kind of on the hour. So, like, what's up? You know, to close it out. What's on your horizon? What you got coming up? You know, you talked about it a little bit, but kind of what's your plan maybe for 2020 and, you know, and just, you know, what's next?
Yeah, for 2020, just still planning on continuing this pretty hardcore releasing, working in some more strategy. You know, I want to start getting some new music, start creating some new projects. Like Loom has really helped. I think, you know, I have, man, like 8 or 10 different projects out and about, whether I sent the beat or whether I was working on some stuff.
Sure.
So snowballed after your first competition. I was like, all right, this is fun. Here we go. Let's just keep doing it. And I haven't made some deadlines for some of them, so whatever. But not necessarily a huge plan for 2020. My main plan is trying to finish out this hype, figure out when I want a targeted ad to, you know, start really promoting and investing back into music. Try and figure out some niche to utilize with Loom in terms of maybe coming out with like some videos for mentoring or coming out with some like a Dubs Weekly like tip or, you know, something to kind of.
No, dude, that would be rad.
Just to give some random just insights and stuff here and there, or how I do things or how I use stuff. And main thing, upgrade all my software. Get up to working with Splice, one of my buddies. I actually have the opportunity to put out a sound pack. I held off on it I could have released one in October. So my boy does rare sounds on Splice, and he was in like the top 10. He does like world instruments. He goes travels.
No, I think I was fucking with that a couple weeks ago. Yeah,
like that's my boy.
Like, going through this road. That's sick, homie.
Yeah. So and then the other one.
Shout out Splice, by the way. That shit is like, dude, that shit's too
Rick
easy.
Baker, what up?
Yeah.
He's one of my old college buddies was I think part of creating it. So I've heard through the grapevine. I haven't talked to him in a minute. He was at San Fran, but through the grapevine I heard he was involved in the beginning.
OG behind it, that's sick.
Yeah. So like I said, I mean, just being in the industry, as the older I get, the smaller, like, I mean,
it's you just gotta keep at it, bro. Like, you know what I mean? As long as you're still around, people respect the fuck out of that, dude.
Yeah, and it's crazy because, like, you know, I mean, and like I said, I'm not one to name drop or try and be like, I'm close to this person, but it's like, you never know. Like, one of my friends, just a singer-songwriter, musical director for Jonas Brothers.
Holy shit.
Been on tour for the past 15 years. Like, dude, living in hotels. Like, he writes the music, and he's the real guitar player with his amp backwards on the stage.
No way. Making that good money, I bet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So it's like, but it's like, you never know. Like, he was somebody that in school was never doing bands or projects, but he was songwriting. Next thing you know, one A&R, one person's like, dude, we got the project for you. He directed the new Jonas Brothers movie.
No way, dude.
So it's like, once you get into this level, but then another thing.
Once you're invited to the table, you can do a lot, Yeah.
And like, say the thing about Up and Down, like, my buddy was at Linda Perry's studio for several years, getting paid pretty well, but just overworked, no credit. Finally was like, you know what? You did the right choice. You stayed and did it for yourself. He's like, yeah, I got some knowledge and some creds, but nobody's hiring me anyway. And he doesn't even do music anymore. He got so discouraged by them using him. So it's like, you got to really protect yourself, but you got to look forward, look ahead. And, I kind of keep things free flowing. Like, my plan, I like to stick to it once I make it, but I don't necessarily make it too far in advance. Since I'm just getting back in right now, I'm just like, resurgence, get this artwork finished, which for me, my artwork's not necessarily crazy. I've just been doing simple. My name at top, branding, name, title, and a little picture. Get it out. Get it out.
Great. I love the one for mine as well. Like, honestly, I did. Yeah. Like, it's you're just not overthinking it, bro. And that's so huge. It's so important just to do it.
Yeah, a little strategy.
Really the just do it. It's so funny. The simplest sayings when you grow up, you're like, dude, just do it. Or like, just get shit done or whatever it is. Like, that shit's real, dude. Just
it is what it is.
And go.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Exactly. Well, yeah, man, I really appreciate your time and reaching out, wanting to do an interview.
Yeah,
and it's been fun. It's kind of just
dude, it has been fun, man.
Just I love it. And
like, I'm not an interviewer, so it's like, my thing is like, let's just shoot the shit. And like, I think this is really good content for Loom. It's really good content for both of our audiences. And honestly, man, you gave me some game today. So like, that shit is that shit's important. You know what I mean? I think it's cool to be able to hear stories from artists who have, particularly like you, gone up, been like at all times high, had over 1 million views on YouTube, like released over 100 songs. It's gives perspective, and I think my audience and hopefully yours and Loom's will appreciate it.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm just enjoy making content and just keep networking with more people. Like, I feel like because of this app and this competition and stuff, now we kind of have a relationship going and talking, especially too with this interview, just furthering that progression. Like, now I'm about to get off and be like, yo, here's the link for this outwork of, like,
hey dude, send it to me. Actually hit me. I'll shoot you my number on Skype or whatever after this, so we can stay in touch, man. But yeah, dude, appreciate you for joining, man. I'll go ahead and I can stop recording. But dude, thanks so much for for everybody who's on listening right now. We literally set this up like 2 days ago, so like, it was like pretty quick. So anyway, man, I appreciate it. I think it's gonna be badass. Dude, I'm excited to see the next releases, man. We gotta get another song together.
Yeah, for sure. Well, maybe instead of or maybe whether it's a collab or if you have any music you want, like a specific reggae, like roots vibe or something, like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're like, yo, I can hear.
I got some lyrics to some shit that I wrote.
Tell me, is it hate? Tell me, is it love?
I can give you the chords, and you can maybe
moments of our day that we giving up. If it ain't another fight, is it just a bluff?
All the way around.
Remind me how my life is stressful, my dear.
All that type of stuff. Like, my most recent one I posted with Hanuman was, I kind of hit them up. I was like, yo, and I picked a song of yours to your reggae version, specifically reggae version, and then everyone got pretty well. They were happy with I was happy with it. And it's like a cool fusion of trap and reggae. But yeah, I mean, I feel like that's something that it's not as big of a niche. I mean, there's more dancehall than
something that you can't see. Seeking something
more,
but staring up at the ceiling. I hate to be alone, tired of these feelings. I hope you stay in love. I can see it, I can feel it in my mind again. I think that I can get closer to you. If you really want, then you really won't give up. If you really want, well, we really don't live.
I appreciate it, homie. Nice to meet you, dude. This is fun.
Feel like I it's that good life. I'ma make sure that my mood right. When it's time to move, can't fight with you. I'ma stay up, drink wine with you. Shoot the shit like it's 06. Summertime vibes, nothing but time with you, yeah.